Oh my word, a 5-minute quickie, slightly longer than 5 minutes, but it's all about how we can nurture a seed, where we can pick the fruit of success. But first of all, we have to grow the tree. And before that, put the seed in and water it and nurture it. And this is just nurturing. No, it isn't. It's planting the seed, sowing that seed. We're going to nurture another day. Have a listen after this. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. And this is an FMQ, a 5-minute quickie podcast, which never lasts 5 minutes. It always goes a little bit longer. But it's a chance for you and I just to muse, to think of a subject, to talk about it for a few minutes, and then spend time thinking, seeing how it would change our life if we maybe developed it a little deeper. And maybe sometimes these 5-minute quickies will go into a longer podcast where we can dive deeper and produce processes, hypnosis processes, NLP processes. Don't worry about the names. They're just processes for making our life and your life absolutely better. Getting rid of anxiety, fear, all those other hang-ups and issues that we have, and have the life we deserve and make dreams come into reality quicker, bigger, better than you could ever dream of. But they're the longer podcasts, and this is a 5-minute quickie where we break down the complicated into simple, because in simplicity there's genius, and that's what we do here. So if you want to just think for a little while, see what happens, see what resonates inside you, and when it does, you go change the world.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Hey friend, how we doing? Sowing the seeds of success. What the hell does that mean? And what am I talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. This is an FMQ to get you to muse about something that we're going to dive deeper on a longer podcast. So I just want to get your cogs turning in that brain of yours and that brain of mine. Because I had a statement in mind which says the time will never be right. Right for what, Cluffy? Well, right for starting something new. Right for starting any blooming thing. If you're like me, you tend to want everything to be in order. All the dots and the T's and everything in order. The time has got to be right. But I don't think it ever will be. Do you? Really? Honestly? But I think, and this is what I want you to muse about, if we sow the seed of that idea. And how do you do that, Cluffy? Well, I want you to think about this. This is a musing thing. Maybe just take a little bit of time, but take some time with me right now. What would you want to do? Now, what I think you ought to do is maybe write this down. But before you do, start thinking about this with no edits. No edits whatsoever. There's no commentary. There's no negatives in any of this, because we're going to be brave. We're going to be a little bit weird. Weird in that anything is possible. If anything was possible, what would I want to do? And then we're going to go for it. Just think of this before you start, maybe. If nothing could stop me, and you don't have to know, by the way, how you'll do it, forget that bit, because that's the beauty of this. Just think, if nothing could stop me, what would I want to do? And write that sucker down. Make a note. Do it on your phone. You've got a recorder on your phone. You've got note taker on your phone. You've got a piece of paper, you've got a pen, you've got something. But if you think about it, sometimes it just drops out the other ear. As you think of one, another one drops up. And you see, I want to do a deeper dive on this, but I want you to get the juices going. I want to get, as I say, those cogs moving of anything you could do. I did a podcast a long time ago about something like 10 minutes of being weird. And this is throwing down everything and anything that you'd like to do. But as you've done that, because you have now, haven't you? Even if you just haven't done it yet, but you've thought of a couple, just pick one. And I want you to pick one when you've written them down. But for the moment, I just want you to pick one and begin to think. Begin to imagine. Because our imagination is limitless. Nothing can stop us. Think about when you dream. You can fly. You can do superhuman. That's imagination. Hook into that. And if you were to imagine, if I was actually doing that, I know it's weird. I know it's right out there. But if I was actually doing that, how would you feel? Ask yourself this question. How would I feel when I get to do this? And the thing is, when you think that, how would I feel when I get to do this? You get to feel it right now. And it's a feeling I want. But get that picture in your mind. It doesn't have to be 20/20 vision. It just has to be an awareness. Because we're sowing the seed. But as you just think, how would I feel if I got to get to do this now? Got to do it. What would I feel? How would I feel when I get to do this right now and feel it and make that feeling bigger inside, double it? Because you can. And just realize how good that feeling really feels. And if you've written these down, which you really have to, you do have to. When you've written them down and you pick one and you just say to yourself, how would I feel when I get to do this? And you feel that feeling, you make it bigger, then you let that go. And you look at another one, you go, oh, this is a weird one. It's my imagination. No one's in control of that but me. How would I feel when I get to do that? And begin to feel it. And make that one bigger. And then release it. And then pick another one. And this is all we're doing. It's like rinse and repeating. But that's why you have to write these buggers down. Because if you don't, you probably forget them. And you could be forgetting the gem that's going to make a difference to your life. Because it might not be exactly that one. Because you're going to say, maybe that's too weird when you really get into it. But nothing is too weird, by the way. But maybe you think that to start off with. But you can find something along those lines. And all we're doing here is planting a seed in your unconscious mind. And you don't need to know what to do with it. You don't need to know how you're going to do it. We're planting the seed. And that longer podcast will begin to get you to nurture that seed, to get it to grow, to get it to become part of your reality. So that's the interesting thing. But you have to do this a little bit first. You can't grow the plant without planting the seed. You can't pick the fruit off the tree without planting the seed. I'm going into my metaphors there, but hey-ho, that's what I want you to do. Let's just play, because it is play. A 5-minute quickie to muse and play. What else have you got to do for 5 minutes that would make a difference? And this will. And if nothing else, and I always say this with your imagination and feeling it, if nothing else happens to this, you get to feel good. So that's a win. But I know that once that seed is planted, your unconscious mind is going to go, ooh, this feels good. Ooh, you can do something with this. And then we're going to feed it with that longer episode. So keep an eye out for that. So that'll be something like sowing the seed of successes, or the seeds of success. Oh, dear. We're going to go now. I'm going to put my head in somewhere and have more fun than you can stand. And just remember, if you share this, that'll be great. But go fly, my friend, and make those notes now. Be weird. Ta-da.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.